Hi, I'm Samantha Mazzell, and this is Slide UX's interview series for Human's Sake, where I chat with people who enhance users' experiences virtually and in the flesh. Thank you so much for your time, Katrina. Katrina Noelle is the president of No Research and co-founder of Scoot Insights. We met last fall, and I'm thrilled to have a chance to ask you a few questions today. Thank you so much for being game.
Of course.
Okay, let's get started. So you've described No Research as a female forward qualitative insights consultancy. So tell me a little bit about what that female forward part means to you.
We did debate a lot about what word to use. We had driven, guided, first, lots of words after the word female. And this all happened sort of pre-hashtag, where I looked around. Basically, what happened is I had a new marketing manager come on board, and part of her task was to talk to everyone on the team to kind of get a sense of what the team was like as a whole. Because I was so close to it, I couldn't talk about us as you know, seeing the forest for the trees. And it was this kind of push that everybody on the team really enjoyed, the fact that we were this female driven, powered, engined organization, and that we should put that out there in the quest for differentiation in this sort of tricky to differentiate industry where you spend a lot of time talking about what the industry does. You have to very quickly then sum up what you do within it. And we've gotten actually great responses from it. But it's really about empowering and supporting talented women. Like on our team, we also have a network of expert partners, which are predominantly other women-owned businesses. It's by no means exclusive. That's not 100% policy. It just seems to have been what happened over the years. I think there is a lot of kind of this duality of empathy and strength. It comes from female researchers and women analysts, basically. And it's just all come together under one roof. So we decided to put our neck out there and talk about it a little bit more.
I love it. And female forward in particular, the forward piece to it as well.
It was important to say that this isn't exclusive, and it's not female only, and it's not an all girls club. It is that energy is the part that is moving us forward. Yeah. So that was a really important part of it, that we didn't want to sound anything other than the engine behind it, sort of female energy. Yeah.
I love that. And in the world of inclusivity that we all are finally in, more and more of us are getting there. It's really fantastic to see how you really are encouraging researchers to think about inclusive recruiting in particular. And when I hear those words, I think, all y'all, come on in, you know? And really, when you think about and act on inclusive recruiting, what does that look like?
Well, it's actually gone from being sort of a soapbox speech to being a pretty immersive process. So when we met, we were at the Insights Association, and I was presenting with Kristen Spraggins of the Band Consultancy, and we started so much conversation around what inclusivity means when it comes to recruiting and fieldwork that we're actually in the middle of producing a podcast mini-series about inclusive insights, because we realized it meant so many things. Every time we turned around, there was another meaning of inclusivity. I mean, it definitely means inclusive from a diversity and a representation standpoint. It's literally including more people rather than not, but it's gotten into a whole kind of train of eliminating bias and how you are inclusive, how you have an inclusive mindset as a researcher, how clients can have an inclusive view of the problem or the objectives or the universe they're working within. We have been interviewing a list of amazing speakers for the podcast, and I think every episode we have like written down a new definition. So it's harder and harder to now put some guardrails around it, but really it's about thinking broadly in a non-biased way to make sure you're including all the voices in the dialogue, and then pushing yourself once you think you've done that to do it one
A little
more
bit
rung.
more. Mhm.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love it. I love it. Just, holistic in its real sense of that. And it makes me think back to, social work, this sort of systems thinking, right? So you're just constantly thinking what system is touching another, just scooting back, really,
Hmm.
scooting back to scoot in on insights. But how wonderful. And I love how that definition continues to change.
Because it's nothing if not inclusive, right? It's
Exactly.
it's very meta in
It
that
is
sense.
very meta. Escher, just drawing, drawing,
Hmm.
drawing, drawing. Really cool. So, one of the ways in which y'all are conducting research is by way of in-person intercepts. And as we all know, a researcher is out in a store or a restaurant or out on the street, gauges a person right there about their experience. And I wonder if there are any sort of memorable snapshots of something that someone on your team might have interrupted or or kind of in
Yeah,
conversation.
it's it's so almost painful to have this conversation in this moment where we're not allowed to
And
intercept
that was
anybody.
totally what I was going to say. Okay, so
It's
you can
like,
scrap it because you want to know what my other question was. How are y'all handling
oh my
in-person
God.
research in our current world of in-home?
So we have put a lot of time, money, and energy into our pop-up insights booth, moving into trademarking, going down this path, and
Right on.
then no one can be within
Yeah.
6 feet of each other. So we did actually explore some digital intercept options.
Mm-hmm.
There are companies that are doing that pretty well out there
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
So we sort of backed off of that and we'll leverage them when needed. We've changed our focus from the intercept to the fresh recruit.
Mm.
Because part of the reason that you intercept, right, is to get those fresh minds, those non-database panelist, client list people who are naturally in the environment and may know nothing about research but happen to be there. So we're trying to put a little bit more of a focus these days to find those people in other means. So I think that's how we've sort of transitioned that focus on the intercept as much as we can in the current moment,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
doing that through social media, recruiting links on clients pages, doing email
Mm-hmm.
blasts, things like that to kind of catch people.
Are you finding people more catchable right now because of it?
Yes. So it is April 6th when we recorded this. In the past 3 weeks, we have seen an amazing shift in digital qualitative. We've run about, I would say, 35 to 40 sessions in that time. And we are seeing people who don't need to be tech checked, who are completely willing and able to participate in research, who are able to speak on webcam without, getting
Yeah.
nervous and interrupting each other. And
Yeah.
it is amazing what this world has done
Mm-hmm.
for, I get people now who are like, hey, you're my fifth Zoom meeting today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's so different than what is this thing I have to download? And that's happened in 3 weeks.
And that's because the people that already knew how to interact with the technology now are at home and are available, or
and
and
and people who have not had to do this before have done it through their employers or their family,
mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of been this, oh, now we're on webcams, oh,
Mm-hmm.
now we're connecting digitally.
Mm-hmm.
We just ran this an online bulletin board, and we asked the participants afterwards some feedback because we've been cautious, like, should we be doing
Yeah.
research right now? Is this a sensitive thing to do? We know incentives will help right now, but is this the most socially okay thing to do?
Yeah.
And we got this amazing feedback of the connectivity and the connections that they made just by being on
Great.
this board with people that they didn't
I
know, who were
love
always
it.
all talking about the same thing. And it was
I
just,
love
so
it.
yes, I think connectivity,
Yeah, and
connections
connection.
are
Totally.
both very good right now.
I love that. I love that, Snap to a year from now. Oh, so how the two of y'all meet? Well, we were on this, we were in this focus group together. And I was at home and she was at home and we had some opinions about stuff and then yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even in that moment, just, you have to give people a few minutes to talk it out and like say what's going on in life right now. We've stopped saying, please be in a quiet room without distraction. Like,
Yeah.
you would love to be in a quiet room without distraction right now for most people. But I just think that, once you get it out initially, it's almost this like release to talk about something else.
Yeah. You meet someone at an event who says, why bother talking to users? It's a waste of your time. It's all in the numbers. That's where you'll find the truth. How do you not throw your drink at them?
I approach it a couple different ways. One of the which is kind of discussing how humans need story and narrative. So just historically, and you pass them a copy of Sapiens and you're like,
Yeah.
this is the deal. We think in stories,
Yeah.
and that you feel data by knowing the story behind it. Now, I am not going to say that there are not brilliant quantitative minds who can tell us brilliant story without data. But I think, I have a hard time seeing how it isn't helped to get anecdotes, stories, examples in people's own words. And so I think the value of bringing a story not only makes the data stick, it makes it actionable, and it feels like you're doing it for people, which I think that connection again, right? Connection to the people that you're serving and helping and building for can only help, right? So I think I approach it from that, like, there's no lose here. There's no drawback. If you can get it, go get it, like go listen, right? So I think I tend to approach it from that about, why not, and why not add the story? And then, I rarely meet someone who's done a project once with a qualitative component has said, you know what, I was right. That was
Didn't
not
need it.
needed,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
just have to go over the
Yeah.
cliff once.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we know that you've written articles and you've given talks and you've coached your colleagues. Now let's imagine that you're publishing a book, of which you're now about to tell me you are.
I imagine this period of time will get slow. So I'm going to write the thing that I've been meaning to write that
Let's
is
do
in
it.
like wisps everywhere I've started using Evernote, right? Like it's a work in progress. So I wrote an article a number of years ago on LinkedIn about a personal offsite. And I, growing up as a consultant and a freelancer and a one-man band, really envied some like corporate stuff. Oh, I don't know, like lunch breaks and
sabbaticals.
paid
Yeah.
sick leave,
Yeah, totally.
whatever. But also this idea that they had these offsites. They would like go out and like think about themselves and the business in the way that I was doing for my clients. And I was like,
Yeah.
am I allowed to do that if it's just me? And so for the past few years now, I've taken a weekend a year and now I do an offsite with my team as well. And then I wonder, do I still need the personal one? Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes. So it's really kind of this amazing opportunity to reflect and like ideate and do a bunch of projective techniques on yourself and all that fun SWOT analysis that you do for everybody else and you
Oh
don't
my
do it
God.
for
So what does
yourself.
that look like? I mean, do you write do you fill up an agenda and, yeah. Oh my God. Of course you do.
I put
Yeah.
myself through like my participant exercises. I do collages.
Oh
I
yeah.
do Post-it notes all over. And yeah, it's
Yes.
super fun. It's amazingly empowering. And what's interesting is inadvertently this year, I did it the weekend before I couldn't have done it anymore. I
Okay.
did it the weekend before the shutdown.
Okay.
And what's going to be really interesting is trying to write this at a time where you are sort of personally offsiting, not by choice.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So I didn't quite encounter this, and I'm not sure how much alone time people will need after this, but I still
Yeah.
think it's valuable to make sure that solopreneurs and small businesses give themselves the time in that way. So yeah,
And
we'll
that
see.
separation, that's, even in the now when we're having to stay in our homes, we still might not be separating in the way in which you're suggesting.
Exactly.
So I love it. Where did you go? Anywhere?
This time I just went up to the wine country, but this part of this is really, you've got to take advantage, right? So all those points don't amass for nothing. And, do you have friends with summer houses they don't use, or do you have a whole bunch of hotel points that you don't use because you never give yourself a vacation? Like I'm heartily, I'm a big fan of maximizing and giving yourself kind of a treat while you do it. There's no
Yeah.
reason you can't
You
throw
don't
in
need to be in pain while
no, you
you
can book a
try to work.
massage during said
Totally.
offsite. Like
Totally.
nobody is judging.
Totally. I love it. I love it. And so do you come home feeling now, I mean, this is a hard one in the now, but
Right.
tasked with some action items that came out of that alone time?
Yeah, I think you both realize what you've done So you
Mm-hmm.
get this picture of the past year that you don't usually get, that is incredibly fueling because you're just
Mm-hmm.
worried about getting through this week or this project or this client or whatever this is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you really get like this accomplishment. I did come back and like the team meeting, I was like, do you guys would know what we've done, right? I was just like really,
Filled with it.
yes. And it also helps you set priorities that are not what you have to do and what other people want you to do, right? It really allows you to kind of have that vision. And I don't know, I need to step outside to get that because my regular lists are so long that I just
Yeah,
don't get to the big picture thinking lists. But what I
totally.
hope it is more of kind of a workbook so
Yeah,
that someone could
right on.
take this with
Great.
them and do some
Wonderful.
exercises. So
Wonderful.
title TBD and date TBD, and
I
let's just
love
call it
it.
an idea. Now I just have to put my Calendly link away so that I can actually
Oh
write
man,
something.
oh man, oh man.
Just
Block it off. Just block it off. That's all
block it
you have to
off.
do.
It's very true. It's
And
very
hey, there's
true.
your title. You're welcome. It's called Just Block It
Block.
Off.
Oh, I'm so tempted to type that right now.
It's yours.
Hey, TM Sam.
Oh, totes, totes. Thanks a zillion for being game. And I would love, and I speak on behalf of Slide, we'd love to have a chance to work together.
Yeah,
Opportunity for any of that. But short of that, so glad to see you again, Katrina.
I know. Thank you so much for thinking of me. This was fun.